Everyone experiences some sort of setbacks during their lifetime. It could be a minor setback because of a test grade, all the way to a major life-changing setback. But they're only really considered setbacks if you choose for them to be, right? I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to your frame of mind and the light you look at your hardships in, which is why I wanted to share a life-changing experience with all of you, as it left me viewing life in a whole new perspective. And I'm going to walk out of this room today in hopes of it doing the same for you. My family moved around a good amount of times, from America to Egypt to Kuwait to Jordan and now the UAE. But today I'm going to be speaking about the biggest move out of all of them, the move from Kuwait to Jordan in 2012. We arrived in Kuwait as a family of 5 and left as a family of 4. You know, divorces, which unfortunately have become very common these days. But I was still thrilled about the move to Jordan since I could finally learn more about where I come from, despite not even knowing my own language, but that's besides the point. When we got to Jordan, my siblings and I were privileged enough to attend the best school in the country. However, like most children, I never understood or realized how fortunate I was to be going to school, living in an average-sized apartment, or even the little things like being able to add whatever snacks I wanted to the grocery cart. I was living a normal childhood. But there was a sudden turn of events in 2014. It all hit me like a truck, and the little things like being able to add whatever snacks I wanted to the grocery cart weren't so little anymore. Unexpected events can occur at any moment in time, and unfortunately, my dad started spiraling toward bankruptcy. After the summer of 2014, I was always wondering why I wasn't attending school like all my other friends were. I would ask my dad every day when I would start going to school again, and the replies I got went from tomorrow to next week to next month. I didn't understand what was going on, but what I did understand was the feeling of having the privilege of going to school taken away from me. It's a feeling I can't put into words, and a feeling I don't think anyone can understand unless they experience it themselves. We're always told to be grateful for getting an education whenever we complain about schoolwork, which we are, or at least we think we are, until we get it taken away from us. A perfect example is how we all had to switch to online school because of the pandemic. It just showed us how much we abuse our blessings and how many privileges we take for granted. Just like having food on the table, another privilege my family had almost completely lost. At this point, March of 2015, we moved to the UAE so my dad could start working again. As soon as I thought things were starting to get better, my mom and brother decided to cut ties with the entire family. It wasn't easy for a young girl to process and handle such traumatic events occurring in such a short amount of time, but it is what brought me even closer to my dad and sister. Now, even though we started our life in the UAE a little rough, we got back on our feet in no time. My dad started working, we got an apartment, and I started going to school again. A completely fresh start. Now, whenever I tell people about this story, I'm always asked how it hasn't seemed to negatively affect me in any sort of way. And this is where the importance of your mindset comes into place. Yes, I may have gone through something no child, or anyone for that matter, should have to experience, but what reason does that give me for it to be all that I'll ever think about? Instead, I started thinking about how I'm going to decide what the next step of my life will be, because I realized that I decide my future. I decide what I want to do and how that's going to make me feel, not someone else, and definitely not a circumstance. A kick in the teeth might knock you down, but I hope what you all get from this is to not let it keep you down. Situations like these aren't setbacks. They're chances for you to wipe the slate clean and have a new and inspiring beginning.